The laughter echoed like thunder in her ears, cruel and mocking, as though the entire weight of the world had gathered to belittle her in that moment. Clara stood in the dimly lit dining hall of her late husband's family estate, surrounded by relatives whose smiles were laced with venom. She had already been bruised by grief, her heart still aching from burying the man she loved, and now, like salt rubbed into a raw wound, she was being treated as a joke. They tossed a crumpled deed across the polished oak table, its paper sliding to a stop in front of her. "Here's your share," sneered her sister-in-law Vanessa, her voice carrying the same condescension as her smirk. "One old cabin, worth barely $1. Congratulations, Clara." The room erupted into chuckles, a chorus of cruel delight. To them she was an outsider, a woman who had married into their wealthy family, but never truly belonged. Clara's cheeks burned, her fingers trembling as she picked up the deed. A cabin, hidden deep in the woods, forgotten, worthless. This was the legacy her husband's family thought she deserved. But what they didn't know was that this worthless inheritance held secrets that would change everything. Before we dive into this unforgettable journey, don't forget to hit that like button, leave a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe me to Soul Spark so you never miss more powerful stories like this one. Clara drove away that night with the paper clutched in her hands, the mocking laughter still haunting her ears. She had no destination but forward, no compass but her determination. The cabin was hours away, tucked into a forgotten corner of land her in-laws hadn't even bothered to visit in decades. As the car rolled through winding mountain roads and into misty pine forests, Clara felt a quiet stirring in her chest, a whisper of hope, fragile but insistent. When she arrived, the cabin looked exactly how they described it, a crooked silhouette against the twilight, its roof sagging, the windows cracked and fogged with dust. Weeds choked the steps, and the wooden porch groaned under her weight. At first glance, it seemed to confirm their cruel laughter. But as Clara pushed open the creaking door, a rush of air greeted her, cool, fragrant, almost alive. The interior was worn, yes, but it held something else, a story waiting to be uncovered. The fireplace bore carvings etched into the stone, initials intertwined, hearts drawn in the hands of lovers long gone. Shelves lined with dusty books filled the corners, and beneath a warped floorboard, Clara discovered a hidden compartment holding a bundle of letters. Her hands shook as she unfolded the brittle paper, her breath catching at the first words. They weren't ordinary letters, they were love notes, journals, records of a family history that her in-laws had long forgotten. Names, dates, land documents, even old maps spilled out, revealing that the cabin sat upon property stretching far beyond what anyone realized. It wasn't just a shack in the woods, it was the heart of acres of untouched land, rich in natural resources, and even more priceless, woven with the history of her husband's ancestors. Clara stayed the night in the cabin, the fire crackling as she read every letter by candlelight. For the first time since her husband's death, she felt him there beside her, not in body, but in spirit. She understood now why fate had brought her to this place. The cabin wasn't a curse, it was a gift. Days turned into weeks, and Clara threw herself into restoring the cabin. She cleaned the dust, repaired the roof, planted flowers by the porch. Neighbors began to notice, offering helping hands and warm company. The local historian, an elderly man named Mr. Whitmore, visited and gasped when he saw the documents she uncovered. "Do you realize what you have here?" he asked, his voice trembling. "This land, your husband's ancestors purchased it centuries ago. It's protected, untouched, and historically invaluable. And with those papers, you're the rightful heir." Word spread quickly. Journalists, conservationists, even developers began circling like hawks, offering Clara sums of money she could barely comprehend. Millions, some whispered. Others insisted it was priceless. But Clara remembered the mocking laughter of her in-laws, their eagerness to cast her aside. She wouldn't sell her husband's legacy to strangers. She would honor it. She transformed the cabin and land into something greater. Part retreat, part museum, part sanctuary for wildlife. It became a place of healing not just for her, but for the entire community. Couples married under the pines, families hiked the winding trails, and children learned history within the cabin's walls. What was once seen as worthless became a treasure beyond measure. Months later, Clara stood again in front of her in-laws. This time, it was they who were speechless. No laughter, no sneers, only wide eyes and slack jaws as they saw the woman they once mocked standing tall, stronger than ever, her cabin now a thriving landmark. All this, she said softly, came from the inheritance you gave me for $1. Vanessa swallowed hard, her face pale with regret. Where we didn't know. Clara smiled, not with cruelty but with quiet triumph. No, she replied. You didn't. If this story touched your heart, make sure to like this video, leave a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe to Soul Spark so we can continue bringing you more stories that inspire and move your soul. Clara never sought revenge. Instead, she found purpose in the very thing meant to belittle her. The cabin became her home, her refuge, her monument of resilience. And in the gentle rustle of the pines, in the laughter of children playing by the creek, in the warmth of fires crackling in the hearth, Clara found what her in-laws never could understand. The true value of legacy is not in wealth, but in love, in memory, and in the courage to rebuild when the world tries to break you. The cabin, once mocked as worthless, became a symbol of triumph. Clara's story lives on, whispered in the wind through the trees. A reminder that sometimes the very thing others dismiss as nothing can hold within it everything you need to rise.